Alright, what's up YouTube? HPJ here, and I have a thrilling retro deck profile for you guys, because this is taking me back to Lord of the Storm, the structure deck that featured the Harpie ladies, and gave us our exclusive trap card, Hysteric Party. Now, the reason why I'm going back to this is because of multiple reasons. The first reason is the lovely big bird that's standing on top of the deck, Dark Samorg. I mean, not Dark Samorg, Samorg of Divinity. Sorry. Still off of my little traces from my video with the Harpie stuff. And not to mention, we just got 4 new Harpie cards. So I'm really excited about that. So check that video out when you guys can. Now, I am really excited for this because this is one of, this was the first themed structure deck I got. And it featured my favorite archetype in the game. It utilized the abilities of our field spell, our monster lineup, and the cards that come with it. So I'm really excited about this. And I did have to change a lot of it from what I had, because initially there were cards that were not featured in the one that weren't featured in the deck, two that weren't featured in that weren't featured in the structure deck. They weren't featured in the video games to follow that did have the structure deck, and the ones that did have it were were already in synchro format, and that point some Morgue of Divinity was kind of just foo. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Alright, so let's start off with our monster lineup. And that is 2 copies of Bird of Divinity, Samorg. The Harpie lineup, which is Harpie Queen in a set of 3. 2 Harpie Lady 1 and Cyber Harpie Lady. 2 Harpie Lady Sisters. And 2 Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon. So, if you guys can't see that, I'll move it over a little. There we go. Then, for the rest of the monsters, I'm running 2 copies of Flying Kamakiri number 1. 2 copies of Garuda the Wind Spirit, 1 copy of Whirlwind Prodigy, and 1 copy of Swift Birdman Joe. So that is the monster lineup. For the spells, and it's going to be a hefty spell lineup, and it's not because of the Harpie cards, trust me. So, we're running 3 copies of Harpie's Hunting Ground, and 2 copies of Elegant Egotist. Now, for all the one-ofs that this deck has, it's running 1 copy of Premature Burial, 1 copy of Symbol of Heritage, 1 copy of Pot of Avarice, 1 copy of Field Barrier, 1 copy of Mystical Space Typhoon, Giant Trunade, Swords of Revealing Light, Lightning Vortex, Smashing Ground, and Fissure. So that is all the spells. Then for all the traps, it's running 3 copies of Hysteric Party, 2 copies of Icarus Attack, and 1 copy of Torrential Tribute and Bottomless Trap Hole. Alright, so let's get into this deck. Let's get into this lineup. So, Samorg, Bird of Divinity. This was the starter deck. This was the structure deck, Lord of the Storms boss monster. What it did is, while it's on the field, because I have to read this, because this is it's been a while since I've had to read Samorg. This card cannot be special summoned. If you tribute summon this card, the tributes must be wind. While this card is face up on the field, both players take 1,000 damage during each player's end phase. Decrease the damage each player takes when that happens from this card by 500 for each spell or trap the player controls. Excuse me. So, what does that entail? Well, Samorg hit the field, 2,700 attack, 1,000 defense. This birdie pretty much said every time during end phase of each player's turn, both took 1,000, but reduced for every spell and trap you had on the field. So a lot of continuous spells, a lot of continuous traps got played with this bird around. The next thing is that Samorg is a wind-winged beast, so he gets a lot of support there. For a lot of people, this is where the Harpies came in, because the Harpies had enough support to where we just got Queen, we just got Hysteric Party. So right off the bat, you have access to Harpie's Hunting Ground, you have access to Field Barrier, I'm so sorry. Still gonna I'm dealing with a cold. So there's a lot of things that this deck has to offer. Um, a lot of utility, a lot of synergy in just an overall sense. It puts together one of my favorite things, and that's the Harpie setup. You know, having Harpie setting ground, having hysteric party, getting access to popping spells and traps so that your Harpie monsters can come up to the field and not have to worry about being attacked or being destroyed. Well, they have to be worried about being attacked and destroyed, but you can deal with the spells and traps to support a lot of decks at this time. So, Divinity, like I said, this is one of my favorite monsters because this is what I would love to have as a Harpie boss monster. A winged beast that hit the field, knew what it was doing, and had control and manipulation over spells and traps that were on the field, and gave damage to both you and the opponent, and then found ways to mitigate it as the player. That also did change up a lot of my plays with this deck because I'll go over it when I go over the monster lineup, the other monster lineup, like the changes that I added to it. So let's talk about my lovely lady. Let's talk about Harpie ladies. So Queen had just got released. She searches for your field spell, Harpie's Hunting Ground, and she's the first monster to be treated as Harpie Lady while she's on the field in the graveyard. They did do some more word clarification now. So this monster's name becomes Harpie Lady while on the field in the graveyard. That was the big change, not only to a lot of the cards we printed in Joey's World, but also just every Harpie monster that was printed in Joey's World. Harpie Queen, Harpie Lady 1, 2, 3, Cyber Harpie, have the thing that they are treated as Harpie, always treated as Harpie Lady, and then the monsters who came after them are this card's name is treated as Harpie Lady, while on field and graveyard. So, oh thank God. Harpie Lady 1 and Cyber Harpie. So, at the time of this, I would actually prefer to take out a Harpie Lady 1 or take out a Cyber Harpie and turn it into Harpie Lady 2 because the flip effects were still in play. At the time Lord of the Storm came out, there was still Incredible Fortress and the beginning of Pac-Man, which is, if most people want to know what that is, it was a deck that was based around flipping monsters face up and face down. So with Harpie Lady 2, she would negate those effects as long as she destroyed the monster. Which works out relatively well when she can take out the monster. So I would probably swap out Cyber Harpie Lady for Harpie Lady 1. But overall, Cyber Harpie Lady is just a big beater. That's why a lot of people played her as the one of. Or played Harpie 1, Harpie 2, and then played Cyber Harpie Lady. Because Harpie 3, in my opinion, honestly, isn't that big of a monster. She really wasn't that useful to Harpie Ladies, except for like slowing down big monsters. She became completely useless when Synchros came out, and then you can just Synchro into a new monster. Or you can drop a new monster, pop her, and then go crazy. Harpie Lady Sisters. Well, at the time of this recording, Harpie Lady Sisters don't seem too bad with all the support they just got. So indirectly, Harpie Sisters. They're the only level 6 winged beast Harpies have in their arsenal. It has to be summoned through Egotists first, and then through all the other effects you can summon it, except for when it goes back to the deck, because that's where it's reset it, that it wasn't summoned by Egotists. These are pretty much your big beaters. If anything, they're like your easier targets to summon off of Egotists, because they're your biggest hitters. Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon. Hold on, I'm going to clear my throat for just a second. Okay, so I'm back. Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon accumulates its effects based on the number of Harpie cards on the field. At this time, Harpie Brother was still named Harpie Brother, and he wasn't treated as Sky Scout till Harpie Chandler, Hysteric Party, and all of them got their reprints in clarification of words. So it's pretty much just a big summon that you get. Mind you, priority was still around. So if you had 3 other Harpie cards on the field and you summon Baby, you pretty much could pop a card automatically and not care about bottomless trap hole and stuff like that. That's the biggest advantage of having all the Harpie cards in here. Except for Harpie Queen, because she was actually still in Force of the Breaker. You had to actually pull Harpie Queens. And I think that time, there was only Ultra, no, ultimate and rare Harpie Queen. So when you got the rare queen, this is our Harpie Queen, and she was still the most powerful Harpie monster because of the fact that she was a Harpie lady while she was on the field in the graveyard. It added to Dragon's use and gave Hysteric Party just a ton of support there. So that's the Harpie lineup. Now let's go into all the other monsters in this deck. Flying Kamakiri, Wind's Recruiter monster. When destroyed by battle, you can search summon a level 4 you can summon a 15 or less attacked wind monster from your deck to the field in phase of attack position. So you pretty much stall out or you go get your Harpie monsters. You can even go get Harpie Baby Dragon and then start your plays there utilizing Dragon's effect. It is honestly one of my favorites in the fact that it does get one particular monster who I'll talk about later or coming up that does help out with the whole thing. And this was actually one of Harpie's most reliable monsters because of the fact that you can just swing into it to a monster, get a Harpie, and then go crazy. So rock on Flying Kamakiri. Following Flying Kamakiri is another great wind monster, but a very situational and controversial wind monster, and that's Garuda the Wind Spirit. We can also talk about Sylphie when we bring up Garuda, because Garuda was not in the structure deck, Sylphie was. Which I thought was very odd, considering it's supposed to be mainly about wind and winged abuse. But overall, you banish your wind monster, so summon this card from your hand to your field during each of your opponents. I think it's during your opponent's end phase. Yeah, during your opponent's end phase, you can select one face-up monster they control and change its battle position. You really don't use it for that. What you're pretty much using it for is to summon itself and then tribute it to summon some more Bird of Divinity, or any other wind monster that needed a lot of tributes to summon itself. I mean, it is pretty decent in attack and defense. We just had better options. I think that's why they put Sylphie in there, because Sylphie had more attack than Garuda, but Garuda fit more well because of the fact that you had all this winged beast support, not, wind fairy support. So I ultimately can see why they did want to take this out, maybe because they wanted, at that time, people were still had access to them. Because it took a while for this to get printed. You had to wait till the Dragons of Legend structure deck with the Dragonities in it to get those. So it's not too bad of a monster, but in current setup, this does kill your Harpie quotient. But your best option is at that point to remove not all your wind monsters that aren't Harpie Lady, like your Flying Kamakiris and stuff like that, and then help it summon some work. Next is Whirlwind Prodigy. So this is the monster that I wanted to talk about when I talked about Flying Kamakiri. So Whirlwind Prodigy allows you to tribute itself, and it counts as 2 monsters being tributed instead of 1, but 4 wind monsters. I do believe there are a water, a fire, an earth, a light, and a dark monster that all do what Whirlwind Prodigy does. Everyone has different names, but the main goal was to help summon some more Bird of Divinity with the effects of Whirlwind Prodigy. Unfortunately, the 2 structure decks this card was in, was featured in Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2007, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2008, and Whirlwind Prodigy was in neither of those, unfortunately. So we did have to wait a while for accessing it in games. But if you're playing the PSP, you probably had it in your PSP games. I love the fact that I had a monster who could help me summon some work. Even more so if I put in Harpie's Pet Dragon, it'd be another target. So there's a lot of things that was offered thanks to this. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't get the chance to really play it till later on, and that was during the Synchro format. And I love Whirlwind Prodigy for the fact it does do what it's supposed to do. It helps summon some work. I think it would have been a great seller if this card Garuda were in the Lord of Storm structure deck, but Konami's issues, not mine. And the last monster to talk about is Swift Birdman Joe. Joe actually made his appearance in that structure deck, but his first appearance was in EOJ, Enemies of Justice. When no one else came in Enemies of Justice, Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon. Harpie Lady no, that was the Rise of Destiny. But yeah, EOJ had Swift Birdman Joe and Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon. And Joe, if I didn't say it in the video, Joe was an easy summon because, well, everything he ran in his deck was wind. And because of how it was structured, Wind had a ton of good support. Surprisingly, like even generic Wind decks had a ton of good support, and Joe was one of them. He was pretty much, when you tribute summon him and the tribute was a Wind monster, he's Giant Tree. So it was an awesome way to get rid of stuff. It was an awesome way to recycle a lot of stuff, and there was a ton of stuff I recycled in this deck thanks to Joe's effect. Now, for spells, Harpie's Hunting Ground, Harpie's Field Spell, Harpie's OTK card. The potential reason why Harpies, as I called them, were the walking MSTs because of Harpie's Hunting Ground and its effect. Gives 200 attack and defense to all Wind monsters on the field. When Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady Sisters is normal or special summon, the conductor of the summon selects one spell or trap on the field and destroys it. Thankfully, they reprinted this and corrected the massive jumble of effects that this card had to go through on players who played it. I think at the point where a lot of players just didn't play Harpie cards because we didn't have specific rulings in the TCG to deal with that, as opposed to the OCG who had it, and there wasn't and still isn't a proper rule book for Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's why a lot of people, I guess, stopped playing Harpies or played limited amount of stuff to deal with Hunting Ground's effect. Um, and how you utilize summoning your Harpie ladies, because even with his third party, I think that was a clear effect there too. And it's still one of Harpie's most powerful and usable spell cards in this game. The fact that it gives your Harpie ladies the ability to, when they're no more special summon, allow you to select a spell or trap from the field and destroy it is just fantastic. I am running removal in this deck just in case, because you don't never know when you're not going to get Hunting Ground, but you want to get rid of removal. I think that's something I should take into consideration with my next Harpie deck in that sense. But yeah, that is Harpie's Hunting Ground. Double Alien Egotist. I know some people are cringing, but this is right. This is way before we had Hysteric Sign. And you had a ton of targets. You had Harpie Lady 1, 2, 3, Cyber Harpie, Vanilla Harpie Lady, and Harpie Lady Sisters. When Queen came out, this became even more relevant and more prevalent. I say prevalent. More relevant and more prevalent because of the fact that you had a new Harpie Lady. She treated herself as Harpie Lady while she was on the field in her graveyard, and it gave you access to this card. Now, you didn't get searchability of this card till later on, and now we have even more searchability thanks to Oracle and I think it's Perfumer. Is that her name? I thought it was Performer, but whatever. Either way, this is a great Harpie card because it allows Harpies to soar. Next, a lot of one-ups. I'll get pretty much, let's do it like this. Your monster removal. Smashing Ground, Lightning Vortex, Fissure. Your defensive card was Swords Revealing Light, and with the effects of the next card I'm about to show in Swift Birdman Joe, you could easily recycle this and get it going again. Giant Tree Name, recycle card. Great spell. Very dangerous spell, that's why it's still banned in TCG and OCG. Speaking of card removal, Mystical Sage Typhoon, only one of. And I didn't run Heavy Storm because Heavy Storm destroyed, not returned. And in a lot of cases, if you wanted to destroy, you had Hunting Ground to do it. MST was just here to make sure I could pop the one-ups here and there. Speaking of one-ups, Field Barrier. I love this card because at the time, there was that whole thing with field spells. Only one field spell could be activated at a time. And with Field Barrier, your field spell couldn't be destroyed. And while it was on the field, no other field spell could be played. So it was very defensive as a field spell, and it was very utilized as a very good defensive defensive card for field spells. And note, I did run this a lot. I think this was featured in the zombie structure deck, so it took a while, but it was still a common even so far. And a great card for Harpies because you can just pop it instead of popping your field spell. And nowadays, we're going to have more cards that pop instead. So, alright. So that's Field Barrier. Pot of Avarice. Recovery card. Send 5 of your cards in the graveyard. Monsters back in the graveyard. Shuffle, draw 2. Symbols of Heritage. Now, I didn't run this personally, but I do remember this card being very useful because a lot of people at the time were running, like in a little booklet that they gave you, for a lot of cards, they would have featured cards, and Symbols Heritage was one of them, and it's one of the utilized because of the fact, one, it's a quick spell, so it'll stay on the field as long as the card equipped to it is still on the field. What was the benefit was Harpie ladies did just get Harpie Queen, and she's treated as Harpie ladies, so you had more monsters in the graveyard to account for it being the same monster. Well, it did get caught on because later on there were decks that abused this effect, and ultimately ended up why it got limited. Not to mention the OTK the FTK that came for Harpies with Harpie Dancer, Divine with Miss Valley, and the now unbanned Stratos. The elemental the as I say elemental hero. Yeah, elemental hero. Why was that something I was afraid to say? Yeah, the elemental hero Stratos. And in Premature Burial, another quick spell, really good quick spell, really abusable quick spell, and a very big fan favorite. Recovers a monster, pay 100 life points, and equip that monster with that card in attack position. So, let's moving on. Hysteric Party. Hysteric Party was first introduced in Lord of the Storm. Discard one card from your hand, so summon as many Harpie ladies to your field. There's enough said just in that alone. And with future cards released, it just keeps getting better and better. I hope that we get a rewording our Harpie sisters so these sisters can work with Hysteric Party because they are Harpie ladies. At least give them that option to be Harpie lady and be counted for Hysteric Party. Maybe they'll have to reprint Hysteric Party to say that then too. And overall, it's still a great card. It gives you your Swarm. It gives you your easy tribute fodder for Bird of Divinity. And if it's dead, Divinity's on the field, bam, you don't lose 500 points, including your field spells. So, yeah, that is Hysteric Party for the win. Icarus Attack, a good staple for any Winged Beast deck. It allows you to pop 2 cards on the field by tributing a Winged Beast monster. So you have your options, and you have a lot to be thankful for thanks to this card. And then Torrential Tribute and Wildland Chapel were just some filler cards that I honestly say are still relevant to the game. Because they do so many things in terms of removal that a lot of people at the time just couldn't do because cards like Mirror Force were still banned, are just getting unbanned. So, yeah. But that is it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what your versions of some more decks were like. Did you love the Big Bird itself? Did you like its other counterparts and stuff like that? Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel because it helps out. And until next time, you guys, HPJ signing out. Take care.